All right. So I thought today we could talk a little bit about using your listings to get buyer leads. And for those of you that don't have listings, don't worry. You can use other people's listings too. What I'm about to explain to you guys how I use the process I use is going to work for, if you're finding someone in your office and helping market their listings as well. So I am very purposeful about how I advertise and market my listings, and which listings I put more money into than others. So there's two things you're looking for. Well, actually, there's three things you're looking for when you have a listing or when you're marketing a listing. Obviously, if it's you're looking to sell that listing, that's kind of number one. But you're also looking to get buyer leads and to get seller leads. And so you want your marketing to be focused around those two things, trying to target buyers and sellers. I think we all know open houses, the marketing you do, 9 times out of 10, you're not actually getting a buyer or seller for that specific home that you're marketing. I find actually my marketing to other agents, marketing the home to other agents and reaching out to other agents might be what sells that one house, but the marketing that I do on my listings is actually generating more leads. So for me personally, when I get a listing, I am very active on social media in terms of like sneak peeks and different things that I do. I always try to find something fun about the property that I can highlight or something different, just something that stands out. So it doesn't look like I'm saying, hey, check out this listing. It might be something fun like, look at this gorgeous curved staircase, or I've got one right now where I've been highlighting there's an underground tunnel under a busy road that's cool and kind of unique to our area. So finding something that you can do like little peaks of on your social media just to get people kind of interested and sticking in their head like, hey, I sell real estate. One thing I really talk to a lot of my coaching clients and mentees about is if you don't have any listings, you can still make people think that you're busy and doing a lot of things in real estate by touring other people's listings. So that same kind of idea of giving sneak peeks of things in your listing also can apply if you're doing home tours or scheduling home previews, those kind of things, just putting out little bits and pieces about fun things in a home, to just, get people's advice. People love to give advice and opinions too. So asking questions like, what do you think of this? Gotta be careful. Sometimes some of your sellers can be a little sensitive on responses. So doing it in your stories is nice because they can't see your answers. I try to avoid the pull of yes or no, do you like it? Because I don't want my poor sellers to be like, oh, everybody hates this. But it is one way you can get some engagement, and using stories and asking that question, then it puts them into your DM when they respond to you too. So social media is a very big piece of my listing marketing. I also list all of my open houses and new listings in Marketplace. So obviously we're all in different areas of the country and everybody's Facebook Marketplace groups look a little bit different. But for us, we have a lot of Marketplace groups that allow us to put open houses and just listed. So I will put stuff in there as well. Um, and then doing just your regular business posts with your pictures and your videos when they come out. But I also will try to time my open houses with when the listing is new and fresh. So I will usually do an open house the first weekend after my listing, and I will send emails out to people that are applicable in my database that maybe would be interested, and just, letting them know, do you have anybody do you know of anybody that might be interested in buying this? The other thing I do on social media, I tag my sellers. I get their permission, but I tag my sellers too, so that we're tapping into their sphere as well to see the posts. And then so I have KV Core. I know all of you probably don't use that, but for KV Core, they have Listing Booster. And I find that to be a great way to advertise your open houses and to also get buyer leads. So you can run an ad. You could essentially do this on Facebook on your own if you wanted to. Just the Listing Booster has a little bit more power behind it, but you can run an ad that's open house. It's not run under your name, but when they click on it, it takes them to your page, and then they have to register. And then have a database that is following up with them. We're making calls to them if they register and just asking them like, hey, were you really interested in this property or were you just wanting to see the pictures? So making sure that you're marketing social media, email. If you are in a good neighborhood that you would want listings, I would go door knock and tell the neighbors about the open house. I always use the line of, you want to pick your neighbors. Do you want to be, if you always wondered what your neighbor's house looks like and want to see it, it's a good opportunity to have those conversations and ask them about what if they've been thinking about selling or if they would be interested in knowing what their home is worth. And a lot of those conversations, I say it like, I don't ask it like that. It's literally having a conversation with them. Like, what do you think of, the house next door? What do you think of what we listed it at? What do you think, are you familiar with the market? Do you have a good idea of what your home would be worth? Just having those conversations with them. So door knocking can be extremely beneficial because you're face to face with those people. You could also do circle dialing if you don't want to knock on doors and want to make phone calls instead. I'm realizing Matt has quite a job trying to manage like letting people in and talking at the same time. Yeah, but I always do an open house and I usually tell people it's not around the open house isn't likely to draw the buyer in. It's the marketing around the open house that's getting the exposure for the house too. So setting that expectation with your sellers that, hey, this open house it's not likely someone's going to walk in the door and say, hey, I want to write an offer today. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had that happen a couple times, but more often than not, it's buyers. You're getting potential buyers to see that through your social media advertising, through your mailers, through everything that you're doing in your advertising for the open house. I'm going to pause for just a minute. How many of you guys have listings yourself now? Haley? Peggy? It's really weird to call my mom Peggy. Haley, what do you do to market your listings? Do you do anything similar to that?
Yeah, I was taking some notes, but I would say similar to what you're doing. Um the I don't know. I feel like I'm struggling with a couple of my listings that are just sitting and it's hard. It's hard. So I'm kind of in a spot where I'm like I'm open to more ideas on how to sell these properties, but also aware of the trying to get other business from it. But it's kind of like when homes aren't selling, which is weird in this market, but I think if you don't price them right,
Yep.
that's what's happening with mine is like we didn't price aggressive and now I think people are just kind of watching. And so I don't know, but we are getting a lot of activity at our open houses, which just then converting from there. So
Yeah.
we market our open houses on social media and do the boosts. But we haven't done the like mailers much.
Yep.
And I think now I'm going to start pulling that in, and even just using other properties that have sold and targeting those neighborhoods
Yeah.
and doing, I've heard and I haven't used this, but the EEDM, have you done that before through the post office?
Angela uses that consistently and you've had good success, haven't you, Angela?
Yes, I have. That's how I got my most recent listing. I
I
sent
think you
out
were the one who
8.
told me about it on this, and I was like, oh, I
Okay,
want to do that.
let's chat. Let's chat later or
Okay,
something if you want,
sounds good.
or sometime. You bet.
Okay.
Be great.
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy, Haley. And one thing I've seen lately that might be something you could use is if you're doing so your sign, your listing, you've got your name up and that's kind of your branding and your advertising. So you're already established in the neighborhoods you have listings for. And don't be afraid that they're not selling. A lot of people understand that when houses aren't priced correctly, they don't sell. And so you're not going to be, I don't think people are going to be judging you on that. But you could actually be doing the postcards that have like did you see our new listing? Curious what your home is worth. Like ask, instead of just advertising the listing, making sure that you are
Mhm.
giving them something of value out of it, I think could be really, really helpful. Especially if, so I'm very picky about, like, we have neighborhoods we've farmed and have built up an audience in the past. And so in those neighborhoods, I'm going to do more mailers when I have listings in those neighborhoods or near those neighborhoods. And if you don't have a farm right now, figuring out the areas that you want to farm and have that be where you start, or finding if you've got listings within your farm, I think that could be helpful too, just to lean on the people that you're already are, like, they already know you. They're a little bit warmer.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think really listings are, for me personally, I feel like listings are just a great way to get buyer leads. And a lot of times, depending on the price point, you get seller leads out of them too, because a buyer often has a house that needs to sell. Um, so it's, if I have a lower price point. So for us here in Des Moines, entry level goes probably what, 250 to 300 is pretty entry level for us. We don't have a whole lot of anything under 150, 100 that's not like questionable. So just from a price point perspective, if I have something that's under usually about 400, I'm going to market that aggressively, knowing I'm probably going to get a lot of first time home buyers, and I'm going to gear my marketing towards first time home buyers. If I have a listing that's say 600,000 or 700,000, between that 400,000 to 700,000, I'm going to market it more towards sellers, because a lot of people that are buying in that price point are moving up. And so they may not be thinking about, the buying part may not be as important to them as understanding the selling part and how much their home is worth, to get them kind of off the fence about, would we even want to move? So I kind of use those, that first time home buyer line as my gauge for how I'm going to market to them. If they're in that first time home buyer price point of a listing, I'm going to market it towards first time home buyers and actually be getting buyers leads. And if it's above, I'm going to be marketing it to sellers. Peggy, what do you like to do? I know I'm going to pretend I don't know. Do you have any ways that you like to market your listings specifically?
Well, right now, the two listings that I have, as you know, Michelle, are new construction, and one of them is up there a ways, so it's a little more difficult price range. It's 1.9 million, so it makes it a little more difficult because the market in Des Moines is not much higher than that for typically. So it's just a different type of marketing. So I do the open houses. I try to do a little Facebook. I'm not doing as well as Michelle was, so I got to kind of do some meeting up with Michelle and have her help me with a little bit of that. So, anyways, um, I know she's laughing at me. Her smiling at me, not laughing at me. But I gotta get some ideas to do some more things with it. So I also, our traffic's been okay. I mean, it really has. It surprised me. We even had somebody um, and well, at the home show one, we call it the home show one because it was in the home show, but we had three people. And then in our other smaller, well, it's not smaller, it's a $650,000 home. We had one this last weekend, which surprised me because of the big, game, the Hawkeye game. But anyhow, um, working on some other ideas. So
Yes, we're all always growing and changing, right? And the market's changing. So I think how you market too, it has to adjust sometimes as well. But I, oddly enough, still am getting sign calls too. So um, signs do still work if they're in the right area as well. The other thing too, when you're doing an open house, if you're in a good area, I just put signs up everywhere. So people are seeing your signs. It's part of, I mean, really, when you're advertising your listings or searching for sellers, you're not just getting leads, you're branding yourself too. So there's there's a whole bunch of different facets of how marketing works. You're, marketing for the immediate term, but then you're also branding yourself so that you get your name out there and can be the local expert. So if you don't have listings though, I would reach out to someone in your brokerage. If you're holding open houses already for people, I mean, that's a great way to market your listings, or to market them. And people don't really know if they're your listings or not. Now for us here,
Going fast enough. Go
we,
around.
um,
Go around.
sorry, I'm gonna mute Betsy. So for our market here in Des Moines, we, like, everybody's pretty fine if you're holding an open house for someone in your brokerage. I mean, the brokerage holds the listing, so you don't necessarily have to give credit to that listing agent. And for me personally, when I'm the listing agent, I always tell people, like, act like it's, like, not saying say it's yours, but you don't need to give me credit. We want people to think you're busy and have listings. Like, for me personally, I'd rather have all the eyes I can on my listing, and I don't care if you use it to try to drive traffic and buyers to yourself as well. But asking to hold open houses, don't be afraid to go and ask other agents in your office. If it's in an area that you farm, or you have a neighborhood you want to really build up your, business yourself, go ask that agent, like, do you care if I market your listing? A lot of them are going to be more than happy to let you do that. And then same thing with Listing Booster. You can pick other people in your brokerage's listings to boost as well. And so that can be another option if you're doing, if you have KV Core and you're using Listing Booster, that can be another way to get buyer leads too, is to boost someone else's property within your brokerage. Just be aware of the rules of what you need to do for disclosures in your state. What else? Does anybody else have any thoughts on what you do for marketing your listings and driving buyers?
I was just curious, like I have a couple things that I've been doing, but like, has anybody noticed in their area a lot of people are going back to they're canceling their open houses? Because in St. Louis, I'm seeing it all the time, and I am so shocked because, for one, I think like you're totally missing an opportunity to connect with future clients by canceling them, but also you're not getting as many people through the door of the houses. So I feel like you're missing out on a potential opportunity, for an auction effect. But has anybody else really seen that in their market, that they're getting canceled a lot? I don't know if people just are not being patient, or if they're, or if they're just worried they're not going to get something else.
Yeah, I think, I
So,
mean, we are seeing some of that here with houses still, depending on the price point, moving quickly, and some people canceling. I'm in that same boat as you. If I think a house is going to get a lot of action, or have that gut feeling that maybe it won't take very long to sell, I would rather disclose that we are doing an open house on Sunday and all offers will be looked at 5
Mhm.
or whatnot. But that doesn't surprise me either, because we did have that lull where I feel like, the rates went up, things just slowed down. And so we weren't seeing as much of that multiple offer for a while, and agents that don't have experience in a market that doesn't move quickly get a little antsy, and I'm just going to I'm happy it's sold. I'm going to take
Yeah.
it. So I'm with you. You got to understand your seller and their tolerance. Some sellers, their motivation for moving is so big that they just want to take that first offer, and you don't want to prolong or give them anxiety through waiting through that process if money's not the big driver for them. But I think you're right, having those discussions with sellers and understanding, like, what's your motivation for selling, and how quickly do you need the home to sell? What's your, what's more important to you, getting the home sold, getting the highest price? All those questions are very important to understand their motivation, so you can determine if it's worth holding off and trying to get that auction effect, or if you're just going to take that first offer and run.
Well, I think most of you guys that are on this call, you're not kind of new or anything. But I've noticed, like, a lot of new agents, like, I'll see an agent post something on Saturday. They're looking for somebody to hold the open house the next day. And I'm like, that's like not the right time to be picking up that, you know, that open house. I feel like if you really want to do the open house right, you need to know that you're doing it like a couple days before. So, you know, you can create some buzz like around that open house. I've been having a lot of success, and I obviously have to worry about the neighborhood and everything that the house is in, but by doing a preview night on the Thursday night when I open up the house, I've sent out usually anywhere from about 100 to 250 flyers to like around the neighborhood, like around the house and everything. Done all different kinds of things. Like I've done Kona ice trucks, ice cream trucks, hot cocoa bars, just like little hors d'oeuvre kind of things, just different stuff that just to get people to come on Thursday. Like I think people would come anyway if they want to, but just to, you know, just to kind of drive people in, and it kind of has more like a party feel to it. I've had a lot of success doing that, and I've picked up buyers and sellers within the area. Right now, like I have 5 things under contract that are within 90 seconds of each other, and I know that it's come like from, you know, from doing these kind of events, because I wouldn't know people, like I wouldn't know the people, and I wouldn't have had any way of you know, and plus then most of them said that they liked the way that the house was advertised. And so that's why, so I think that's really been helpful. I've actually thought about switching and using that every door direct mail. I've thought about using that instead, because it gets expensive mailing all of that stuff out every single time. But it's nice if you can hit it as like a coming soon, invite people, get like, you know, take away that nosy neighbor kind of concern, because if you're inviting people to the open house, you're kind of alleviated that, and you don't know who they know who might need to buy or sell something too. So, and a lot of times, how many times has stuff gone on the market in someone's neighborhood and they didn't even notice that it went on the market? It came on and off so fast. So you're making sure people are seeing something that's in their neighborhood that goes up for sale. And then like, you know, then they might bring somebody else that might end up buying it too. So I feel like that there's a lot of good reasons, but I know if you can hit it by doing it as a coming soon, and then at least a sold also, that you let people know that it's sold. But I know some people will do it as an under contract too, but at some point I feel like I gotta, you know, I can't mail something every single time something happens with a house.
Right. I get a little nervous with the under contract too. I'm like, we got to wait till we get through inspection.
Yeah. I
I
don't
don't
even
want to
want
be
to
like under contract. Just
put
kidding.
the sign, like switch a sign out on the listing, because it's like feels like half that. Well, Matt's not on the call today, but Matt knows I had a ridiculous number of mutual releases between October of 2022 and May of 2023. I mean, it was over 3 million in volume, which it was over 12 mutual releases. So it was
That's the fun of our business, right?
it definitely made me shift the way that I do things. So there's a positive in it in the end, but yeah, it was a rough time for me.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Mhm.
Can only
So.
imagine. Well, awesome, guys. Well, we're at time. Thanks for hanging in there and letting me lead the call today. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and Matt will be back on Friday.
Thanks, Michelle.